What's poppin', y'all? I'm here to talk about the really awesome buffs and changes I've made for both forms of Meowstic before I get into explaining my rationale behind the type change and, most importantly, the ability choices, the ability functionality, and all the move changes. One other quick disclaimer for new viewers. If you're returning, first of all, shout out to you for coming back. Make sure you can just skip ahead like 20, 30, 40 seconds. But make sure you drop a comment and like and sub if you haven't already. All that stuff's super helpful. But for new viewers, uh, you know, make sure y'all check out the description. I've got a bullet pointed list explaining the basics of the ROM hack and my approach, and it'll answer a lot of the basic questions you might have before looking into all this stuff. When you're done with the video, you can check out all my other videos. I have videos for every Pokemon, videos explaining the overall background of the game, and then I also have I even have a video explaining all the move changes. But that one is, you don't have to watch that to understand anything. You can just scroll through the move guide. If you look on screen, it's got all these categories, and honestly, I would say the best way if you're new is just to scroll and read through it in order. So yeah, make sure you do that. Meowstic. So type change wise, I think it makes sense. I think they have the vibes, like this basic mammal, basic little cat, kind of like Delcatty type of vibes. I don't know. I just think part normal makes sense, and also is really useful with Rhyme specifically being one of the hardest, cheesiest, I guess you could say, bosses in the game, because she's a double battle, and double battles are inherently unpredictable in game versus AI, and having that ghost immunity is just super super valuable. Yes, you do lose the fighting resist, but that's a very fair trade in this ROM hack specifically. In sweltering, it's like actually a pretty equal trade, and here. You would always rather have that ghost immunity, man. Rhyme is definitely going to be tough, so it's good to have that counter to her, just to be able to switch into her last respects and stuff. Um, and of course, not more importantly, but also importantly, it gives you dual stab. Specifically for female Meowstic, that's good. But even for male, male has still got a good special attack stat and has good moves. He just doesn't have any offensive boosting abilities. So female, like in vanilla, is more offensively oriented. I just leaned into that super hard, which is, just to differentiate the two of them even more. Stats are similar. The difference between the stats is minor. It's basically just female has 10 more offenses, 10 less defenses, and then male has 10 more defenses, 10 less offenses. That's it. Otherwise, they're the same. The main thing is just how different the abilities play. So male has really good utility options in Energy Shield, Prankster, and Tactical Retreat. Tactical Retreat is really cool for like just free pivoting, right? You're not always going to need Energy Shield. You're not always going to need Prankster. So having that free pivot is always going to be a useful option. All Pokemon in this game are designed to be switching between their abilities constantly. So you're going to be making use of all three ability slots, ideally, especially on the male Meowstic. On female, I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, male Energy Shield makes it super super tanky. It tanks all sorts of hits from full HP. It has Recover. It has other great utility options with Energy Shield, and also Energy Shield can be used offensively with Weakness Policy and Agility. It can be used, with support just to get a teleport off, or I don't know, there's all sorts of good things. Just getting that free turn is always useful, right? It's just a great ability. It makes you really, really bulky. And it fits, Meowstic's whole energy. Like, he can, like, put up a wall, I guess, to, like, protect himself, because he's all about, like, defending things and being more defensively and support oriented. Prankster is still great as always. They've got Encore, they've got Tickle, they've got Charm, they've got Befriend, they've got Recover, they've got Hypnosis, and then later in the game they got Mesmerize. So Hypnosis won't miss with the Wide Lens, which is already great. At level 36, you get Prankster Hypnosis with Wide Lens. But later in the game at 55, you get Mesmerize, which is a guaranteed sleep move. I gave them Mesmerize because if you look at like their animations in game, they have like eyes under. They're not actually eyes, but they're like eye patterns underneath their ears, kinda. So I think that's cool. And also it just makes Prankster even better. But even just like straight up like taunt, charm, befriend, just debuffing options like that. Screens is obviously great. That's like what Mouse 6 is kind of known for, right? Is Prankster screens. But I would say stuff like Encore, screens, charm, befriend, all these good options with Prankster. Even Glare. Glare drops attack, special attack, and paralyzes. So that's really good with Prankster. And yeah, just a very solid support, utility-oriented Pokemon. It can still do offensive stuff. It's still got a good special attack set. It's still got high base power moves like Psycho Boost late game. It's still got, Stab, Hyper Voice, and Eternal Beam, and all these coverage moves. It still has all the stuff that female Meowstic does outside of one move. So it's not like it can't be. Like, I would much, much, much prefer male Meowstic. Female's also sick, I will say. Like, they're really cool, and I'll cover them in just a second. But I would prefer male for my personal playstyle. I feel like male is a lot more versatile than the female. The female can still do some defensive stuff. Like, she can still click Encore, she can still click Hypnosis. It's just not as, like, support or utility oriented. And I feel like a Pokemon like that is really important in a game like this. So that's my personal opinion. But I know some people are going to like the Unga Bunga factor of the, I just realized this 2 badges is not bolded. There we go. Some people are gonna like the offensive orientation of the female one. Not that you get to pick. I mean, you could honestly. I wouldn't put it past you, especially actually they're all eggs, right? So actually, I will say for any gendered-based Pokemon, this will all be on the Google sheet once I get around to putting eggs in the game. But any gender-based evolution, you can always just randomize that gender because I don't want to have to put 2 eggs for every gender. That's kind of lame. I feel like it just doubles the odds of getting one type of Pokemon. I think it's kind of lame. So yeah, female and male. What's it called? So female has Sheer Force, which has tons of new boosted options. For example, on the normal side, you have Terra Blast and Hyper Voice, which are now boosted. You also just have like Stab, Hyper Beam on both of them. Hyper Beam functions like Draco Meteor, or I guess like Psycho Boost in this case, so that's really good. You also have like Stab Fake Out, which, with a 58 base attack, is definitely usable. Like Stab Fake Out will still sting a bit. You could get some chip, put them in range for something else. That's pretty cool. You could also do some like normal gem Unburden Fake Out, but I would say the best way is to abuse Unburden, because Unburden's massively buffed, right? Also, I didn't cover the flavor for Sheer Force, but you guys can read. So yeah, basically just all the Pokedex entries talk about how they can tear apart a Psychic Tanker, and Esper especially is like, it will fucking blow up everything around it with psychic energy or whatever, just like sheltering itself. Yeah, an intense struggle to contain its devastating psychic power. It'll blast everything within 300 feet of itself, blah, 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 blah. So that's why they have Sheer Force as Esper. And I also think it's cool for Esper to keep one ability from each. And then also Wimp Out turns into Tactical Retreat. So, and also Unburden. You see, like, I really think about this shit, man. Like, Unburden coming from Wimp Out is kind of cool. Like, the whole running, like, quickness type of vibe, So, I don't know. I always like shit like that, little details. But, stats too, but this is all not important to cover in the videos. You guys can understand that on your own. But yeah, female Meowstic, Sheer Force is strong. You can do Agility Sheer Force, you can do Scarf Sheer Force. You've got 95 power Sheer Force boosted Hyper Voice. You've got tons of Psychic options, with their strongest Psychic Sheer Force move being just Psychic. So for example, Psycho Boost and Subspace Tear will outdamage Sheer Force Psychic, but with Life Orb, the Psychic is doing more. Well, not actually doing more, but dealing no recoil, which isn't a huge deal, honestly. Recoil is not a big deal in game. It's pretty easy to manage. Oh, I lied, by the way. Lumina Crash. That's their strongest Sheer Force option. It's the late game, level 60, but it's a recoil move special. Same with Eternal Beam. Both of those are special recoil moves. Lumina Crash is stab. Eternal Beam is coverage. So those are both really strong with Sheer Force. I like the vibes of Lumina Crash, again, because they have those like glowing ear holes, or whatever the fuck you want to call them, if they lift their ears up. So I like Lumina Crash, the flavor of that on there. Subspace Tear is also cool just because they have such strong psychic power, allegedly, according to the Pokedex. So I think giving them a Wicked Blow special variant to like tear into the new fucking dimension is cool. Subspace Tear is better with Unburden. It's not that good with Hubris because Subspace Tear can't be spammed. You could do like Agility Hubris, I guess, with like Sash, and then click Subspace Tear and then switch to like another move. But I don't know, not the best. I would say Hubris is best with just Scarf spam, like Scarf Psychic, Scarf Hyper Voice, whatever, right? Scarf coverage, stuff like that. Very boring. I would say Hubris is the most boring of the 3 abilities, and also is a bit redundant with Unburden, but I did want to give them 3 offensively oriented slots, and Hubris still has use over Unburden, of course, because you're still snowballing a little bit more than Unburden. Unburden is great, so there's all sorts of great ways you can abuse this. I should have talked about it earlier, to be honest, but if you're returning, you already know all this shit by now, how Unburden works in this game. The easiest way to abuse it is Quick Claw. With Quick Claw, you can outspeed and kill something and then get your Unburden boost, because Quick Claw is now a single-use consumable. The second best way to abuse Unburden on this Pokemon is, or easiest way, I guess I should say, I would say honestly Pinchberry is still the best way for the most part, because it's just so strong versus in-game AI. You can just click Endure. You could do Endure Weakness Policy or Endure Pataya Berry, either one, depending on the situation. And then you get +2 speed, and then +1 special attack or +2 special attack, and then you go crazy. It's very, very, very strong. So that's awesome, and very, very just solid, reliable, good sweeping tool. You can definitely get a lot of kills with this thing. And then Hubris, another cool way with Unburden, is Hyper Voice Throat Spray. That's pretty dope. You would have to click on something that's slower than you, so if there's like a slower... does Throat Spray boost before or after you attack? Let me quickly check that. Pretty sure it's after? If it's before, that's kind of nuts. After use the sound-based move, boost a special attack. After. That's what I thought. Okay, that makes more. I mean, it's still a great item, obviously, but yeah. So you click Hyper Voice. Ideally, it has to be on something that is like, or Psychic Noise too. Both of those work. Psychic Noise or Hyper Voice. You click that. Ideally versus either a weakened Pokemon or something that's like frail and will die, or like weak to Psychic, right? You click that, you get your speed boost. Now you're +2 special attack, +2 speed, +1 special attack. So it's similar to Weakness Policy, or a Pattaya Berry. However, you don't have to take any HP damage, which can be useful if you need to like take a hit later in the fight or something. Or if you took damage on switching in. I don't know, shit like that, right? Although actually taking damage on switching in doesn't matter because Endure is gonna let you hit the hit anyway. But yeah, Throat Spray is a cool way to abuse it for sure. And then some other cool things you could try too, like there's a bunch of cool items. You could do like White Herb, Psycho Boost, or Hyper Beam, you know, you can get creative with it for sure. But those are the three I would say the main ways to abuse Unburden, the most reliable, and just the easiest and the best, like most consistent. But of course, you can always cook. I think I've covered pretty much everything I need to talk about here. So drop a comment if you made it to the end. I really do appreciate all you guys who do watch all the way to the end. Let me know who you are. And I'll be back for more coming up, y'all. Peace.